Welcome to Trivia Tangents, the podcast where we turn everyday passions into surprising trivia deep dives. I'm your host, Lena, and each week I quiz a friend on something they know way too much about, turning everyday passions into trivia gold. We all know that on trivia night, the bigger the team, the better you'll play. That's why I bring the team together here on Trivia Tangents. So get ready for some fun facts you'll definitely want for your next trivia night. Today's guest is Hayley, who's here to talk all about salsa dancing. Hi, Hayley. Welcome to the podcast.
Hey, thanks for having me. You've been talking about this for so long, so I'm really glad we're finally doing it.
Yeah, thank you so much for being here. I'm so excited to have you on finally. I feel like you've been a huge support throughout my time as a podcast host, and I'm just so excited to learn more about salsa dancing and also have the audience and listeners learn more about you in general.
Definitely.
So we are recording in the morning today. I'm drinking a matcha, and Hayley has a salsa dance class coming up in about an hour. So we're going to try and get all this wrapped up before the hour is up. But before we get into it, I just wanted to give the audience just a little background on how we know each other. So Hayley is one of my oldest friends, and I'm so proud to say that. I feel like it's a huge accomplishment to have a friend for so long in your life, you know what I mean?
Yeah, since like fourth grade or before, I guess. Although I have our strongest memories of meeting each other from like fourth grade.
Yes, fourth grade is when we met. You can go ahead and share that story. That's fine.
Lena always makes fun of me that this is my biggest memory or the strongest memory of her, but just her and her braces eating Cheez-Its and getting Cheez-Its stuck in her braces. And that was our vibe in the fourth grade classroom, eating lunch outside.
I'm not ashamed. The Cheez-Its were worth it, and they got stuck in my braces. We've known each other for quite a long time. I feel like Hayley's family is like my second family. Your family's just so welcoming, and I love them so much, and I love you so much. And we've been on so many trips together throughout the years. But yeah, so I'm so excited to have you on today. We are talking about salsa dancing. The reason we're talking about this is because, Hayley, well, actually, they don't know, but Hayley has a huge salsa dancing presence in her life, and I would love to learn more about it and kind of quiz her knowledge here and there. Hayley, do you want to give a little bit of background on, what you do currently in salsa dancing?
Yeah, it's become salsa dancing and like Latin dance in general has become quite an obsession since moving here I'm in San Diego since September. I knew that I wanted to get more into it, and I went out to this one place called Tango del Rey, which people in San Diego know well, which is kind of like the main Latin dance club space. There are other spaces where people dance salsa dancing, but that's like a Latin dance space. There was this kind of free class before or included in your entry, and then, a night of salsa dancing. And I was having so much fun, like, with the knowledge I had, and I was dancing with this guy who's now one of my really good friends, Jake, and I started asking him about, his experience in San Diego, and he said, "Well, the people who are teaching the class are my directors from my studio, Melomano, Diana and Patrick. They're amazing. It's such a good vibe." And I was like, "Okay, I'm gonna try that out." And it's just been nonstop ever since. Like, it's first of all, I love, like, the music and the dancing, but also just the community. Like, it's been a huge way for me to make friends in San Diego, and, like, I'm lucky that my studio directors specifically prioritize that. And so for me, like, people coming together and good dance music is the best. I don't know, I love it. It helps me get into my body, and, feel, like, graceful and connected to myself, and, like, I had this goal of performing, which I recently did, so I just love it.
It's great to hear that it really brings you together with, a community, and you guys have salsa dancing in common to kind of like hold you guys all together. I don't know if I'm saying that. What I'm trying to say is like it's great to hear that it provides a community for you and your peers. So that's
Yeah.
awesome.
Yeah, definitely. I don't
Yeah.
know if that's the, same for everyone who's in dance. I think people go to it for different reasons, and I definitely stay for the dancing as well, but for me, I think, like, people always draw me in so, so much, and, this is such a unique, place in San Diego to find that, so
Yeah. I
special.
love that. So today we are talking about three sections within salsa. I'm calling them the Roots of Salsa, the Mambo Legacy,
Mhm.
and the many flavors of salsa.
That sounds perfect.
Awesome. Each section is going to start with a trivia question.
I can't promise as the white girl dancing salsa I'll have all the answers, but, I'll try my best.
Okay, I think you'll do fine. And also for listeners, you should know Hayley is fluent in Spanish, and also did spend more than a year living in Colombia.
3.
3 years!
Mhm.
Yes! Okay, so just to give I guess I should have given a better background, but yeah, you're pretty familiar with the topic here, so
That's okay. We can get into it when I tell you how I started.
Section 1, the roots of salsa. Trivia question 1. True or false? Salsa originated in the United States.
It depends if you mean the term or the dance. If you mean the term true. If you mean the dance, false. But, yeah, I guess it would
Okay.
probably be true.
Yes, you're right. True.
Yeah.
Good job. Yes, I guess you mean like the term salsa in
Mhm.
reference to like salsa dance. So,
Mhm.
and you're right. While the salsa music and dance do have Caribbean roots, drawing from like Cuban son,
Son.
Afro. Am I right about that?
Yes, but
Okay.
son, not son.
Son. Thank you.
Yeah.
Drawing from Cuban son, Afro Cuban rhythms, Puerto Rican bomba and plena, and more.
Mhm.
Hopefully, I pronounced that right. The version of salsa we know today was born in New York City. It was the 1960s and 70s in neighborhoods like the Bronx and Spanish Harlem, where these musical traditions fused. Johnny Pacheco, co founder of Fania Records, is credited with popularizing the term salsa to describe this vibrant musical blend. Haley, can you tell us what the word salsa means in Spanish?
Yeah, it means sauce.
Yes, like the salsa sauce that you get with your
Yeah,
chips, basically.
yeah.
Which is fitting since salsa dance is like a mixture of many different sort of cultures and dance, and then salsa sauce is a mix of like different ingredients as well. So, to give you a little bit of background on, what actually went into creating the dance of salsa, we have the indigenous people of the Caribbean, which I think they're called Taino.
Yeah,
Taino?
Taino, yeah.
Taino. Thank you. Their influence in percussion really helped with the development of salsa dancing. So they employed instruments such as wooden drums, known as mayohuacanes.
I don't know that one. Who knew this would be a
Okay.
test of your pronunciation in Spanish and indigenous language, but don't worry, that's
All
hard.
right. They also used rattles similar to maracas, guiras, which are like scrapers.
Mhm.
Anyway, many of these instruments are commonly used in salsa music to this day. Maybe they look a little bit different than they did back then. In addition to the Taino people, we also have, of course, the Spanish colonizers. Um, they brought with them partner dancing. So, since in European cultures, people did stuff like the waltz, which is like partner dancing, this was a new concept in the Caribbean. And dances such as the waltz were much more formal and favored straight lines and stiff posture compared to the Latin dances that we know today. But these Spanish colonizers, partner dancing provided the foundations of like the lead and follow and the partner dance technique. And then the final ingredient of early Latin music was the rhythms and movements of Africa, which were brought over to the Caribbean in the form of slave labor by the Spanish. So, all of these unique ingredients came together for the first time in the Caribbean islands and gradually started to mix together over the course of centuries to build the foundation of Latin dance and music that we know today.
Yeah, that tracks. It's funny because you're making me realize how much I know, especially because my director, Patrick, he is a wealth of knowledge and always loves to go on tangents, about music history and everything, but he's Colombian. I think there's even so much more than what you said, but that tracks with what I've learned too, just all these different influences, and, when Johnny Pacheco or whoever it was at the label decided to bring it all together, it was just like there's all these different threads of music and we don't really know what to call them, but it's just
Yeah.
like a sauce, everything mixed together, so let's just
Yeah.
call it salsa.
Yeah. Okay, great. I'm glad it all tracks. My source is salsavita.com. They have many
Sweet.
articles on the history of salsa. So, Haley, how did you first discover salsa dancing and what drew you to it?
Yeah, so I've been thinking about this and I can't quite remember what exactly it was. Like if I have listened to that music maybe before, but I think so first went to Colombia because I did a Fulbright scholarship there teaching English after school, after university, and I was living in Chicago at the time. I was just thinking, going there, like, what should I know about Colombia? Like, what's famous there? How I always like to kind of prepare, and get to know local culture before I travel somewhere. And I knew that, Cali is like the salsa capital of the world, like it's huge there. And so I was like, I should learn this. Like dancing sounds cool. I should check it out. So I found a studio in Chicago. Um, and not only was it really fun, but also it was just like such a nice break from, the work week. I think I had on Monday nights and just to get out for myself and do something. And I remember I also met amazing people there, and this might be this might be, a bit of a tangent, but something that I wanted to say earlier too is just in thinking back about my salsa experience, like dance really brings people together. I think the same sort of vibe, maybe in a smaller way that I feel now in my studio, I felt in Chicago. Like it really takes a lot for an adult to take time for a hobby, let alone a hobby that's incredibly intimate, vulnerable. You're touching people, but you have to like be respectful and you have to put yourself out there. And I really do think activities like that just bring the highest caliber of people out there, just who want to take the time on a weeknight to learn something new. That's where they have to interact with other people. And all of that. So I think that just really drew me into just the relationships I was creating, all
Mhm.
of that. And I started loving the music. And then, I went to Colombia and I started dancing there as well. But it's kind of funny in the small town I was in, like I couldn't quite find the right vibe of a studio. I remember going to this one I would go to, and where I was, Via Vicencio, it was so hot, like so humid. Imagine Georgia or Texas or something in the summer, but all the time. And so I would go to this little studio that had classes for like 15-year-olds.
Oh,
And they were so good. And that's all I could like find. And they would do this crazy footwork. And I would come out of class like sweating, like just trying to keep up. And the
yeah.
little kids would kind of like look at me like, why is this girl here? I don't really understand. But did learn some stuff, but like not as much as more like an exercise. But I just kept trying, and then, later on in Colombia, I started working with a private teacher and going to another studio, um, and so, yeah, I really just got into it because of my own passion for, like, new cultures and wanting to
Mhm.
really understand them at a deeper level, so that's what brought me in.
Yeah. I love that. I love that. I really love how you take the time and the effort to really understand the new culture that you're in. Slight tangent here, but I wanna shout out my dad because he does something similar, but in a very different way. What he does to kind of understand a culture better when he travels to a different country is the first thing he does is get a haircut.
So, like, to get to know the vibe at the barber shop or something?
Yeah, and, like, what's the style? What do people get? Like, ask, like, what are the
So
local
funny.
places to go to? And, like, that's what he does.
I love that for your dad. It's actually kinda connected because Lena came to Bogota where I was living, because of her dad. Her dad is on
Yep.
his amazing world adventure, and he was in Colombia, in Bogota, so then she came to visit, and she actually joined me for a salsa class in my studio, if you remember
I
that.
did. I did.
Yeah.
I didn't know what I was really going into, but it was fun. Like,
Yeah.
it was kind of more of like they didn't really, like, teach you too much choreography. They taught you a little and then, like, they turn on the music and you kinda just go. But it was yeah, it's definitely like Haley's right, like, you do get, like, intimately, like, physically close with someone, and it's usually, like, a stranger. So,
Mhm,
you
totally.
kinda get to know people really quickly.
Mhm.
Okay, so you mentioned earlier, salsa means sauce, and I was wondering, do you feel like the sauce metaphor captures the dance experience too, especially since you've danced salsa in so many different places?
That's a really good question. I mean, it definitely applies, like, as you said, where it comes from, all the different types of dance that that fed into that concept. But I think too, something that I'm actually navigating here in San Diego is like there are a lot of different dance studios, not just Latin dance, and then
Mhm.
bachata is often closely connected because it's like the main other form of Latin dance. But then there's like Afro-Cuban, like ways of dancing, and then even like I know people in my studio who do hip hop or jazz. And, if you were a dancer growing up, I wasn't. I mean, I did like ballet when was 5 and then
Yeah.
like a couple contemporary classes in high school. So you could say I was, but it wasn't my top hobby. My main like after school hobby was soccer. And so I didn't know like all these types of dance exist. So I feel like when you start with one, like you realize, oh, there's so much more out there. And like I want to try all these other ones because if I do more like traditionally graceful dances like jazz or ballet, that can like make my salsa more grateful. But then if I do like reggaeton or hip hop, like I can learn to hit more beats or move my body in a different way. So I really feel like it's all connected. And I definitely
Yeah.
feel that the sauce metaphor applies in that way too.
Yeah. I love that. And then have you ever danced salsa in a place with a strong connection to it, like New York City or Cuba? And or how many countries or places have you danced salsa in? Because Haley is like worldwide traveler.
I try. There's a lot of places I've been, but yeah, I mean, something that you learn too in the dance community is that people seek it out like wherever, and there's always some people that dance. I mean, there's this famous song called Bachata in Fukuoka, which is like not even sure if I'm pronouncing that right, but it's a city in Japan, and like it's about this guy's experience dancing bachata in this city in Japan. And so, I mean, obviously Colombia, like, that's hugely connected to it. When I was in New York recently, I really wanted to go. I didn't get a chance to, but I was in Boston afterwards and I went, which is not necessarily a huge connection there. I went to Puerto Rico earlier this year and like was dancing all the time and made a lot of friends and a huge, huge influence from there. Haven't gotten the chance to go to Cuba. But really like, yeah, Puerto Rico, Colombia, but like anywhere you go, you can find dancers, even in, Boston. So
Yeah.
yeah.
That's awesome. How can you tell if someone is a dancer? Like, do you just ask them, or is it like in a setting where people are dancing and you're like, "Oh, that person's good at dancing?" How do you
Well,
know?
there's definitely better dancers than others, but I'm not saying like, oh, just on the street you find the dancers. Although in South America, I mean, like I remember when I was less into it, but in the Dominican Republic, like that's where bachata really like originated or has a strong
Mhm,
influence, and people were dancing all the time in the street. But
mhm.
no, I mean, more like you just look up online, like, there's actually a website, I forget what it's called, but I've seen it, like, in multiple countries. It has, like, salsa events going on in every city that you can find
Cool.
out each night what's going on, and so you just show up, and that's how
Yeah,
the dancers are, like, anyone who goes there is obviously there for the event, so
yeah.
that's really how you find it.
That's so cool. I love that, and I'm just like, I really wanna eat salsa now. Like, I really want chips. Seriously, I really want chips and
Yeah.
salsa. I think I'm gonna go to Underdogs too after this and get some chips and
I wish
salsa.
I could join you, that's so sad.
I
And the
know.
funny thing that I want to say too, it's like, I don't know if you've heard that concept of, like, chai in, like, Hindi is tea,
Yes.
um, and, like, chai tea is repetitive, like, it's kind of the
Yes.
same thing, like, we think of salsa as that red sauce or maybe, like, green salsa or whatever, but, like,
Yeah.
if you're in a Spanish-speaking country, you have to be more specific because 'cause you're just saying sauce. So,
Yes.
I just think it's, like, funny how we adopt these terms, but salsa is a wide variety.
Yeah, that's so funny. That's like in Italian when you order shrimp scampi, that's just saying
Mhm.
shrimp, shrimp. But yeah.
Right, exactly.
Section 2, the Mambo Legacy. Trivia question 2. Who is known as the Mambo King and one of the most influential salsa instructors from the 1980s? A. Tito Puente. B. Eddie Torres. C. Johnny Pacheco. Or D. Celia Cruz.
I'm glad we have options. I heard the options. Can you just repeat the question one more time so I make sure I have it?
Yes. Trivia question 2. Who is known as the Mambo King and one of the most influential salsa instructors from the 1980s?
B, Eddie Torres.
Yes, you're correct. Good
Woohoo!
job. So you know who that is.
Yes, I do.
Okay.
Yeah.
You're like, duh, of course I know who that is. So, a little background on Eddie Torres. He's often credited with formalizing salsa dance instruction. He's especially known for his role in developing and spreading New York style salsa, or quote unquote on two, a rhythmic variation that emphasizes timing and musicality. So in the 1980s, he taught countless students and helped bring salsa from informal social halls into more structured performance settings. His connection with musicians like Tito Puente helped him fuse music and movement in a way that still influences dancers today. Even if dancers follow different styles now, his legacy is definitely still foundational. So, Haley, you knew the answer, obviously. Did my explanation of Eddie Torres track? And also, where did you first learn about him?
Yeah, I think your explanation had more details than I knew. Again, I mean, I am crediting always my teacher Patrick for his salsa history tangents. That's how I definitely learned more about that. I mean, everything you're saying is accurate, and he definitely is credited with all of that, starting all of that. So
Yeah. Cool. Have you ever learned or taught on two or the New York style salsa?
So that's what I do now. I actually started
Okay,
learning
cool.
on one, which is more popular is, like, more popular in Latin America, in what you just see on the streets of Latin America, but, I think on 2 is kind of seen but not only as the New York style, but, like, the more professional style, like, people
Uh,
who actually take classes and stuff like that, a lot of them will eventually learn on 2. My studio only teaches salsa on 2.
oh,
Yeah, and so I actually had to transition and, from on one, and it's, listening to different parts of the music, like, if you with salsa on one, you learn a lot about the different instruments when thinking about these ways of dancing salsa, and so on one is tracking with the cowbell, which hits on every, odd beat of the music, so, like, if you think of music scale 1 through 8, it's like 1, 3, 5, 7. And then salsa on 2 is, following the rhythm of the conga, which is on the even beats, which is like 2, 4, 6, and 8. That's not the best explanation, but essentially on the even beats, and so you're listening for, like, different beats in the music, and so it, like, depends where like, on the even beats, on 2, that's when you step forward or back, your break step, and on 1, you step forward or back on the, cowbell beats, and so it's just kind of a different way of listening to music, and people have all different theories about it. At this point, I can, like, switch between the 2 and just feel the music, and it's not that complicated, but it was a transition, and I do think, you can learn to dance really well on both, but, like, focusing on 2 in my studio has really helped me grow with my technique as a dancer.
yeah.
But yeah, that's what got popularized through New York, and even in Colombia, I would see that the professional dancers who taught classes were knew to dance on 2 as well.
Wow. And when making this section, I had no idea about this. I literally had no idea. I was just like looking at like, what is influential in the salsa world. And I just decided, oh, Mambo King, that's a fun name. Let's see if Haley knows who that is. And I had no idea your studio literally uses onto the New York style salsa. And also your explanation of that helps me understand why it's called onto
Mhm,
on the even beats. That makes complete sense. And then
mhm.
on,
Maybe I could teach this stuff. No, I can't.
yeah,
But I'm saying, like, yeah, it's so true. When you wrote that question, I saw that question, I was like, "Wow, she doesn't even know how relevant this is to
no,
my
I have
dance journey."
yeah, I have no
Um
idea.
Yeah,
Okay,
but I
cool.
think it's really interesting. I mean, Mambo itself is a bit more complex. There's, like, technically onto and some it's called Mambo style, but there's, like, another more specific way to dance Mambo and a step called Mambo. But yeah, once you go down this rabbit hole, girl, you learn a lot.
Oh my
So,
gosh.
yeah.
I love that. So, Haley, what is your take on structured versus social learning in salsa?
Yeah, that's a really good question and something I think about constantly because, for example, I don't normally go to class on Saturdays, but I don't have much going on today, so I was like, I'll go. But oftentimes during the weekend, I'm out social dancing, which basically means, just think of like a normal club, like anyone that they put on an event and you're just dancing with random people versus like a class being an instructor and picking up choreography and patterns and things like that. I think you really need both, honestly.
Yeah.
I think that social dancing is like also well, I guess I started with the class, but, like, how I really fell in love with the music and, like, would hear the songs that were repeated and just, like, trying different things and feeling it out, and that's also how you kinda practice because if you learn a pattern in a class, you know what's coming, at least for a follow, which would be, usually the female who's following the steps that the lead or the male usually is putting her through. And so
Mhm.
when you're out social dancing, you don't know what's coming. So you can't plan for it. So you really have to like lean into the music and use your technique to kind of get through that. But then the
Yeah.
class, like that's where you really drill your technique. You work on your footwork. You learn like the different concepts that go into being a good dancer, all of that. So I think you need both. But I really don't think that you can advance that well if you don't social dance. Like if people can get
Mm.
really good at dancing, just social dancing, maybe they look up videos on YouTube, but if you're and also that is where the fun is at, like, that's why I got into dancing and love it, like, it's a social thing, if you're just
Yeah.
maybe for some people, who just go to class, but for me, like, that's not the whole point. The point is to, like,
Yeah.
be out there with the people, experience
Yeah.
it. So, yeah.
Yeah, totally. I've seen something similar online. It's something called improv dancing. I don't think
Hmm,
it's specifically like social dancing because it's more of like a competition. So,
hmm,
and it doesn't necessarily have to be salsa, but it's like basically there's you know, you're in like a ballroom situation and like two random people get paired up and they just play a song and they just have to start dancing. Like these people
mhm,
might not even know each other, but then they get judged on, like, who was, like, the best, like, improv dancing, and it just
mm.
seems so crazy to me, like, if you don't even know the person, you don't even know what song you're doing, you don't even know what kinda dance you're doing, and, like, it just the things I've seen just look so flawless, it looks like they've rehearsed it, so maybe they
Yeah,
get a
I
little more
mean,
practice with
well,
social
that's yeah,
dancing.
that's the ideal, right? To
Yeah,
like that you become so connected to music and the beats that like you can really move your body to anything. But it's so funny
yeah,
to hear you talk about this like as a non-dancer because you're like it reminds me that if you're on the outside looking in, you're like, what is this? But I'm like, yes, that's a competition,
yeah,
or whatever specific type of contest, but that is normal. Like that's what you do. I guess
yeah,
the plebes, like, go out to the club and they just dance with their friends or, like, maybe a cute stranger, but, like, this is really the whole point is, like, changing part it's about the dance. It's not about, like and being social through that. It's not about, like, getting drunk or, like,
yeah,
just, vibing or whatever, and so you're always rotating, you're always meeting strangers. That's, like, literally
yeah.
the whole point, which is funny.
The plebes? The plebeians?
Yeah, that's the
Okay.
to the
Yeah.
dancers. I'm kidding. I mean, yeah.
I love it. Just to confirm, your dance group teaches like, you guys do, like, formal choreography lessons?
Mhm.
Okay,
Yeah.
got it. And then, like, you memorize what they teach you?
Mhm. Yeah,
Okay.
but for what's lucky in a way for follows that you don't have to really memorize the patterns part that a partner work because 'cause you're getting led
Okay.
through it. But there is choreography that's, like, just footwork, which means that it's just you alone that you could memorize or,
Yeah.
incorporate. So, yeah.
Okay, cool. So, Haley, if you could take a class with anyone from salsa history, who would it be?
I was thinking about this today. I don't know because like a class, I mean, there's like people I would want to see play live. Like salsa primarily is music, so it doesn't necessarily mean that the people teach it. It would be sick to learn from Eddie Torres, like just
Yeah.
based on what you said. He started this concept of like instruction and stuff. But if I were to, like, see anyone live playing salsa, I would love to see Grupo Niche. It's, like, a very famous Colombian salsa band, and they're actually playing in LA in October, so I might go. So I'm very
Ooh.
excited for that. They won't be teaching, but they'll be playing amazing music, and it always really connects me to a place that I consider a second home and the music there, so I really love
Yeah.
all their music.
Oh, that's awesome. I guess if we wanna rephrase the question, who would you wanna dance salsa with?
Yeah, I mean, it would probably be, like, Grupo Niche or with
Okay.
someone in it. I don't even know the band members, honestly, but that would be pretty sick.
Section 3, the many flavors of salsa. Trivia question 3. How many commonly recognized styles of salsa dancing are there?
Do I get options for this one?
Yeah, you can get options. I was waiting. I was like, I wonder if you know this right off the bat, but I'll give you the options. 3, 4, 6, or 8.
Give me the question one more time.
Trivia question 3. How many commonly recognized styles of salsa dancing are there? 3, 4, 6, or 8.
I have no idea because this could refer to a lot of things.
Oh no.
Let's go with C.
Yes!
Really? That was
Yeah.
just a guess. Okay. Sick.
Good
I'm gonna win
job.
this podcast.
You
Yes.
won. You won. You're the salsa expert. Okay, so we have on 2, on 1, Cuban salsa, rueda de casino,
Mhm.
Colombian style, and then salsa choke.
Choke. I get why you would read it though.
Choke. 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 Thank
Mhm.
you. So, okay, we talked about New York style on 2, which is, you move on the cowbell. No, you move on the drum beat, which is on the even number. And according to the internet, this is like a smooth, elegant, emphasizes footwork and timing sort of dance. LA style is on 1, which is
Mhm.
the cowbell on the odd number beats, right?
Mhm. Exactly.
And according to the internet, again, flashy and fast with dramatic dips and tricks. Yes, okay.
Maybe.
And then number 3, Cuban salsa, circular and fluid, rooted in traditional Cuban social dances. Number 4, Rueda de Casino. It's a group dance from Cuba where dancers form a circle and execute moves in unison called out by the leader.
Mhm.
Okay. And then Colombian style, high energy, fast footwork, popular in clubs and social settings. And then salsa choque, a newer urban Colombian style that blends reggaeton and hip hop with salsa rhythms. There you
Yeah, I
go.
think you got it. There might be
Okay.
more, but I've definitely heard of all of those, and they're
Okay.
common, so, yeah.
Good. And have you danced all these kinds of different salsa?
A great question. I mean, we incorporate Cuban style son steps in class, but, like, I guess I technically haven't danced it,
Okay.
because I've seen videos of the circularness of it, and although I guess in one social dance, there was a guy who was trained in it, I think we were kind of dancing it. Then Rueda, um, I've seen, and it's really cool, but I've never
Mhm.
gotten the chance to be part of it, but I know a lot of people who dance it, but yeah, the rest of them, yeah.
Yay. Cool. Yeah, so each style really reflects different cultural values, musical traditions, and even personality traits. So, different kinds of dance here. And Haley, I think you mentioned your dance group does on 2, and that's the
Exactly,
only
yeah.
one. That's the only one.
Yeah, although there's
Okay.
influences because the first 2 are more about how you step and, like, your timing of the music, but the other ones are more like styles, so there's overlap for sure.
Okay. For sure. And then which style do you love dancing the most and why?
I don't know if I can pick. I mean, everything as I said, it's all overlapping, so I really can't pick. Um,
Yeah.
yeah, I'm not even gonna try. I think though something I'll say is sometimes in the dance community, we get so obsessed with, like, trying new tricks and, like, I even find myself, in my head, like, counting or being like, "Did I get that turn perfectly?" or "I should be doing this better." And something I sometimes miss about Colombia and sometimes I get social dancing here is just simple, like and I associate that with more on one, honestly, but,
Yeah.
like, just simple moves where you're just enjoying the music, singing to your favorite songs while you're
Yeah.
dancing. I think, like any hobby, you can get kind of intense about it, or activity, and so I definitely miss that, and I haven't danced salsa choque in a while, but it's really fun, so, yeah.
Okay. Cool. Yeah, I love reggaeton. So I feel like
Mhm.
that would probably be my favorite, even though I've never seen it. I just know I love reggaeton music. So, and like the beat.
Right, yeah, it's dope.
Yeah. When you're dancing, do you ever mix elements from different styles into one? I mean, I guess that is the nature of salsa, mixing
Exactly.
different styles together.
And the more styles you know, the better your dance is, for sure.
Are there any styles of salsa that you'd love to try or master next?
Good question. I actually think more like I'm focused on other types of dance that would improve my salsa. Like, I think that, as I grew up, like kind of what we were talking about with the nature of dance and being so intimate, like I grew up in a culture that, is not as comfortable with like intimacy, especially with strangers
Yeah.
or like social intimacy, I would say.
Mhm.
And so I think in my dance that reflects of, like and this would people who know me would say personally about me too, is I have trouble relaxing, and so I get that feedback from dance partners, like, "Your shoulders are really tense, your arms are really tense, like, it makes it harder to move you and spin you," and, like,
Oh.
also when I notice my body movement when dancing, like, more advanced dancers, you really see them, like, move with the music and isolate different parts of their body, and, like, I still feel that I'm missing that element, that groove, that natural groove, and so I feel like there are other types of dance that, because salsa is very, like, in some ways can be very structured of how it's
Mhm.
taught and how it's danced, because like, the counting can be kind of complicated, and some other dances are a bit more simple and much more about just, like, being very loose. So I think that I could really gain a lot from practicing those other types of dance.
Yeah, it sounds like you need something that would be a little bit more fluid to kind of help
Mhm.
you move more seamlessly and just kinda relax.
Exactly.
Awesome. Well, we've covered all of my questions, trivia questions, discussion topics, and deep dives. You've got 3 out of 3 correct. You have mastered
Woo!
this trivia episode. Round of applause. Yay. So, what was your favorite thing that we talked about during this chat? Like, what stood out to you?
I'm just proud of myself that I know these trivia questions. It's just
Yeah,
like it's just sometimes it's so easy to not notice your own growth, and then you get
yeah.
these moments where you get to check in with, like, what you've learned, and you're like, "Wow, I know some things."
Yeah, you know
Um,
a lot of things, and all
I
thanks to
know a lot of things.
Patrick.
All thanks to Patrick and Diana. Yeah, I love this conversation overall. I'm trying to think, like, if there was something specific. I like being reminded about, the history. I think that my teachers have really drilled into me to, like, remember that this dance comes from rich traditions that are
Mhm,
marginalized, in our society. We're not often credited with these things, so
mhm.
remembering where it's from and, like, connecting to all of that, was really special, but also just it's cool that talking about all of this, like, lights me up, which I think is how I know it's a
Yeah.
passion of mine, is it makes me feel happy.
Yeah, I can tell, I can tell. That's awesome. My favorite thing that I learned during this, I guess, creating of the outline of this episode was I had no idea that salsa was such a more recent
Mm,
invention. I'm not I guess the term salsa, right?
yeah,
Like we learned in the beginning, it was born in it's the version of salsa that we know today was born in New York City in the 1960s and 70s. Like,
mhm,
that's not that long ago.
that's a really good point, you're right, totally,
I
yeah,
thought for some reason it was like an ancient historical dance that has been around for, like, hundreds and hundreds of years,
mhm.
but that's not right.
Yeah, yeah. Yeah, it's so true that you say that. I mean, really good call out. You're making me think too, like, as I'm pretty obsessed with, as many people probably are, the latest Bad Bunny album and him in general, De Tirar Más Fotos, but he has a song on there called Baile Inolvidable, that's a salsa song, and he didn't really produce that type of music in the past. This album is gained so much popularity and, like, noted for incorporating some of those, older rhythms that you talked about, like bomba and plena, and what I think is so cool is, like, even older folks, if you watch the music video, it's all about, like, many things in his first dance with this woman, but it shows, like, him as an older man remembering, like, his first dance with his kind of
Mhm.
first love and all this stuff, and there's so many videos on Instagram too of, like, older folks listening to his recent album, not knowing him really, but, like, "Oh, wow, that rhythm," like, and just bouncing like a grandpa bouncing to it, and so I think, like, even though it's more recent, because it pulls from these traditions, like, there's so many people of all ages who feel really, really connected to it.
Yeah. Oh, I love that so much, and I can't believe I've never seen you dance, like,
I
live or
know.
I guess we've in that class together we did, and then There was like some dinner party that we went to in San Francisco where there was dancing involved. I'm excited to see you like dance with your dance group. I did see a clip that you posted on Instagram and it looked really, really good. Like,
Thank
and I
you.
love all the matching costumes and you guys look professional. So I will definitely make sure to add that onto the Instagram podcast or the podcast Instagram so the listeners can see that too.
Yes, and not to be, I mean, a huge advertiser, but you should tag my studio. It's their logo, Melomano. But they, yeah, I
Yes.
credit them with so much. And as I said, my directors, and then, I mean, we'll have more performances if you ever come to San Diego, and I hope to keep
Yeah.
joining teams and just, you know, like, I think overall remembering like that I love this and that, it's a journey.
So coming up to the end of this chat here, Haley, I've had so much fun with you. Thanks so much for coming on. If you were to guest again, what do you think you'd want to be quizzed on?
Like another topic.
Yeah.
Maybe, like, places in South America or languages or maybe even, like, I'm trying to think what are my other hobbies, like working out or something. So, yeah, any of those, but, I'm always learning from your podcast too, so I'll
Yeah.
have to continue to be a regular listener.
Oh, thanks. And yeah, awesome. Thank you so much for being here.
Of course, my pleasure.
Thank you for listening to the show. This is Trivia Tangents, where we cover various trivia topics. We have new episodes released every Thursday, which I like to call Trivia Thursday. I'm Lena, and special thanks to our guest, Hayley, for sharing her awesome insights and trivia tangents about salsa dancing with us. Make sure to keep an eye out for next week's episode, all about long distance open water swimming. Thanks for listening.
And learning.
If you enjoyed this episode, please give us a 5-star rating or thumbs up, follow or subscribe, and share with a friend. For bonus content, you can find Trivia Tangents on TikTok, Instagram, YouTube, and of course, all podcast platforms under Trivia Tangents Podcast. Check out our website at triviatangentspodcast.com to purchase trivia starter packs based on these episodes. Perfect for hosting your very own trivia night.